Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and we're back again today with another dope sauce Rise of Kingdom video. We're going to be actually doing another poll breakdown today, and before we get started, if you enjoy the content, as always, make sure you sub, like, or ring the notification bell, and of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up that Discord. You can find a link to it in the pinned comment description right down below. Okay, so today, we're going to touch on a poll question that I had asked, which is, what is your approach when you first started playing Kingdom Builder games? I thought this was really interesting, and you could make the argument, yeah, this is probably pretty consistent across when you think about how you play or maybe enter into most games. But the reason I wanted to pose this question is because I, at times, often hear, and for those of you who hear the same thing, you hopefully will resonate with this, where I'll come across a player, and they tell me, well, this is a war game, this is a fighting game. It's a PvP game. Why would I do anything else? Why would I go work with this alliance? Why would I go and communicate with this person? Why would I do diplomacy? Why would I do anything besides just terrorizing, right? Or just doing whatever they want, right? Not caring. And I thought it was interesting because a lot of the people that I've had encounters with, not only from jump projects or just from playing from my time early on, is that if they don't, they don't know what they don't know, right? So if they're just coming in thinking that, hey, this is a war game and I'm just going to go in here and PvP and fight, regardless of what level I am, or even worse, right? The people that are coming in and doing those things as a spender, that could be so detrimental to that player's perception of kind of what works, what doesn't, right? And sure, you could make the argument that, yeah, people spend or people can have their own opinions as far as how they want to play the game, and that's true, they can. But I do think it's good to know that the actions that we decide to take can be, well, more so can have consequences, depending on what you decide to do, more or less like anything. And if you want to play by yourself with yourself in pretty much a dead or an active kingdom, right, this is, doing those types of things are ways that you go about getting to that point. So I thought it was interesting to ask this question just to see, and again, right, we had a decent amount, a smallish amount of people, but right, we asked, okay, so here's the question, then answers were, right, to learn, to fight, to conquer, to cause havoc, to be the strongest player, to have the strongest alliance, other. So you'll see here that, thankfully, this vote panned out okay, where, most people said to learn. Right, so if I'm starting off playing a game, right, for first starting, right, my objective is to learn, to educate myself. Of course, you had some people that had varying views, but let's go and take a look here at some of the responses. So there's only a few here, right? So, for example, we had one here in to learn, other one, thank you for the happy face, I appreciate you. I see it. And we had, I started RoK because it was starting to get popular. I was really excited to try it all out, of all my friends. Started playing it, and we didn't know a lot about RoK. We mainly wanted to focus on learning the game mechanics, smart person, and learn some tips and tricks so that we can start in a newer server and help other beginning players understand the game, right? So this is a very interesting approach, right, where instead of learning the game so they can kind of go to a newer server, right, because sometimes when you're starting, you're just fine playing on whatever server you're in, because typically when you start playing, you're in the newest server. Right? It's not as though you're starting to play in a older kingdom, right? You automatically get populated into the newest kingdom. So, again, kind of a little bit of wisdom here from this comment, right? So someone said to fight. I thought the idea was cool, and I wanted something that was fast-paced in the moment when you had a fight. So, yeah. This person said I just started, right? So kind of a general question, but this kind of goes into what I was saying before, right? So this person answered, well, when I first started playing Kingdom Builder, I kind of saw it as this cool, right? They said cool, fast-paced moment when you had a fight, right? So again, kind of loosely looking at the game as, hey, this is a war game, this is a fighting game, I'm going to be able to go and attack, and again, some people will have that mindset going in. And then I think we had, right, to cause havoc. It's very fun, right? But this is what I'm talking about, is that you'll get some people that have this view of, hey, I'm going into this game. Cool, there's PvP. I can attack people. I can attack marches. I can do rallies, etc. And part of how these games, and specifically RoK, is viewed in the kind of generalness, the scope of RoK, is as a war game. And there's nothing in the game, right? And I'll touch on this in a later video, but there's nothing in the game if I went somewhere and I wanted to see, okay, hey, is there anywhere I can go here that is going to teach me how to play RoK? Is there some kind of guide? Is there a tutorial? Is there a handbook? Are there tips on the screen that are going to help me in navigating my day-to-day experience in this kingdom? And the short answer is there's not. Right? There is absolutely nothing in RoK within the game that the developers have added to teach you how to play, and more importantly, understand the game in its entirety. Most of what you see that could be a tip or a tooltip, a lot of them are more kind of progression and fighting based, right? It might be tips on leveling or tips on attacking, right? So the game almost kind of by default routes you in this direction of fighting, of war, of chaos, of being aggressive in those regards. And there's nothing in the game, and even though there's not a lot there, but there's absolutely nothing in the game, unfortunately, that will tell you or give you a realistic approach about this is what I'm doing in this game, right? Or this is what I have to do to have a good experience, right? This is what goes into, hey, this is how you might interact and do diplomacy with another alliance. Here's things that could happen in Zone 1. Here's things that happen in Zone 2, Zone 3. Here's how you can utilize Lost Temple. Maybe you should send mails out to your kingdom so you can educate the players. This is how you do kingdom management. Here's some examples on how you guys can do different governing bodies. The game's been out long enough and you've had so many kingdoms now, right? Geez, coming up close to 2,000. And you don't... It's as though the majority of players have only been playing like 10% of what the game has to offer. And the other 90% is just kind of this lost art, right? This thing that hasn't really been discovered yet, even though it's right in front of everyone's faces. And that, to me, is the bigger part of why I wanted to make this poll and to ask people like you for your feedback. Because this is something that I think is so much more important than how new players come in or how existing players are viewing the game. It's really about the culture and the community for what the game really is, but it's just so underutilized. Its potential is so far from being reached on what RoK could be that we've settled for what it currently is. And that, to me, is one of the most disappointing things, is when we have not cared enough to provide good information, right? Or I should say good information in that specific realm, right? Of when it comes to the daily experience of what a player is going to go through, right? The management of a kingdom and all that, in all its facets. Those things, in my opinion, are by far the most important, right? Everyone's going to be able to figure out how to click their building to upgrade it, click your barracks to train a troop. You're going to figure those things out, right? You're going to be able to go and look at guides for people on commander pairings, right? You'll be able to figure out over a period of time, why one pair works over another pair, and vice versa. You'll be able to figure out, hey, this is good for rallying, this is good for open field, right? Those are things that you can kind of figure out more or less through testing. You really can't teach, in my opinion, good management, right? Or, well, I guess technically you could, but it's I guess what I mean to say is that it's harder. That's what I should say. It's harder to learn that than it is to go out and learn, what a good pairing is, or how to level my building, or how to maximize this event. Because those are things that are not necessarily in-game related, right? They're not mechanical things that are in-game. It's kind of more of external things that you learn and you bring into the game, right, through your personal experiences, and maybe even to a smaller degree what you might do in the game internally if you end up leading alliances, etc. But anyways, I digress. That is my big point here for this video. I hope that most of you enjoyed this take on what I think is extremely important. And again, for anyone that wants to participate in the RoK polls that I do on the server, we're going to end up doing some open-ended ones outside of kind of doing the basic, here's the options you can select and add a piece of feedback, even though I love doing it this way. that is pretty much it for me. I'd love to know your thoughts on anything and everything I talked about. And as I said, if you want to find a link to the Discord, you'll find that in the pinned comment description down below. That is it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.